whatever your day holds. You need a breakfast that helps you get up and go. Up.
And go, go, go.
Up.
And go.
A delicious breakfast shake made with oats and milk. High in fibre, high in protein, high in calcium. Start right with Up and Go. The official breakfast partner of British Swimming. Find us in the cereal aisle.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Lebara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free!
Buy now at lebara.co.uk.
Attention please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric in the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas off Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for our supplements, because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
The latest in tech suit innovation. Frictionless fiber construction. Surface lift technology. Endo compression cage. Seamless exo shell. Tier Vinzo. Battleborn.
Very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's session 9, the final session of the British Swimming Glasgow Meet 2021. Here at Tollcross International Swimming Centre in Glasgow. We've had some fantastic racing through the weekend, and it's the juniors who are going to finish us off this afternoon, hopefully with some great stuff again. Now, this is the highlight of the week as far as I'm concerned, because I'm joined in the commentary box this afternoon by the great Hannah Miley. So welcome, Hannah. It's lovely to have you up in the box, having watched you swim for all these years.
Thank you very much for having me. It's awesome being at this side of the pool.
Absolutely. I think we're hopefully going to have some fun over the next couple of hours. So, Hannah, brief reprise of achievements. How many Olympics?
The last 3 Olympics.
Fantastic. How many Commonwealth Games?
4 Commonwealth Games.
How many World Championships?
4?
It gets harder as it goes on.
It does. I just turn up, race, and try and qualify for teams.
Yeah, so we are talking serious legend in swimming here, and it's going to be great to get your insights into what we're going to see this afternoon for these swimmers who are really at the start of their swimming journey, aren't they? Sort of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, these guys will be trying to qualify for European Junior Championships, and pretty much that's where my career started, trying to aim for European Juniors. So, yeah, lots of young talent coming through, and as you say, seeing if you can spot the stars of the future.
So we've got a busy program coming up for you this afternoon, and hopefully that'll come up on the screen any moment. We start off with girls 400 freestyle, 2 heats of that. Boys 400 freestyle will follow that. Don't normally have the same programs back to back, but we have with the 400 freestyle. Then it's 100 back for the girls, 200 for the boys, 200 breast for the girls, 100 fly for the boys, 100 free for the girls, and then finish off with 2 boys events, 200 breaststroke and 50 freestyle to finish on. So within that, which ones would you have been in as a 15, 16-year-old? The lot, probably,
I was going to say probably the lot, yeah. maybe not the 100 back, but certainly the 200s and the 400s. Very much more the sort of longer distances when I was younger. Would have loved to have tried the sprints, but I guess I was quite an even smaller swimmer when I was younger, and I'd love to have been a sprinter. I just didn't have that natural explosive power. The effort and the intent was there, but not necessarily the speed.
Because you still have to be able to put that speed in at the end of a longer race as well. You would be able to do that pretty well in my memory.
Certainly, yeah. And it's just that race experience, that race exposure. The more I race, the more I learn.
So in that first event, let's say we've got 2 heats. It's all heat declared winner events, no finals in this one. So one chance to do it. As you say, some of them will be gunning for places on the plane to Rome for the European Juniors. Do you think we couldn't get some times this afternoon?
Yeah, I certainly think so. I mean, having seen, there's been quite a few swimmers already gotten the qualifying times. I certainly think that is an opportunity. There's some good events there and some good races, some good head-to-head. It's going to be a mixture. I guess some swimmers have maybe had a little bit longer back in training, some only 2 weeks. So, yeah, it just getting that race exposure and just getting in and just race and see what they've got.
Yes, it is maybe a bit of an unlevel playing field at the moment for swimmers, because if they're fortunate enough to have been associated with an elite program, then they may have got quite a lot more than if they were in a club program.
Yeah, certainly. And, hopefully it doesn't dishearten those club swimmers, because I think, there's opportunities. It's not necessarily always the time at the end. It's how they execute the race. At this age, they're still developing, still growing, and there's lots of learning to be had. So whilst the time at the end of the race, can make a swim positive or negative, it's still, it's how they execute the race. And going into the senior ranks, it's so important about the processes. That becomes more prevalent, and the time comes. The time will come.
Yeah, it will. And you can see we've got the athletes out for the first event. Heat 1 of the girls 400 freestyle. Whistle is going, so they'll be underway very shortly. We have Evie Float from Ellesmere College in 1, her teammate Maya Watt in 2, Lucy Fox of Wickham District in 3, Evie Dilley, Borough of Stockton in 4, Izzy Winter of Newcastle in 5, Leah Schlossen of City of Leeds in 6, Olivia Heron of Ellesmere College in 7, and a fourth Ellesmere College swimmer going in late, 8, Henrietta Damaso. Entry times here 4:30 up to 4:35. Range of ages, a couple of very promising 15-year-olds. Evie Dilley with the fastest entry time here, 4:30 as a 15-year-old. Of course, that's age on 31st December. So in terms of the technique for a 400 freestyle, different ways to swim it, go out hard or go out steady and then push in the second half. What would you recommend?
It depends on the type of athlete. If you've got somebody who's, maybe more endurance-based, maybe more of an 800 swimmer, you might look at somebody negative splitting the race, so maybe not going out quite as hard, but building each 100, so you might find that they'll finish a lot stronger. You'll get maybe some swimmers that are maybe more 200-based. They tend to go out pretty strong, and then they try and hang on. And that's one of the things I do love about the 400 race. There's a variety of ways of being able to swim it, and it's just tapping into that individual athlete's potential, really.
And is that sort of relevant that if you're sort of stepping up from a 200, so if you're sort of primarily a 200 and 400 swimmer compared with being a 400 and 800 swimmer, for example, it might be different?
Yeah, certainly. As I say, it's just that race practice. For an 800, you want your 400 to improve so that you can maybe go out a bit quicker in the 800, and that sort of depth of endurance kind of increases. But you do need that speed to finish as well. And I do feel the 400 is kind of like an elongated sprint or an elongated, 200 for a while I used to think was an elongated sprint, but actually the 400's kind of got this length of time where the first half can feel great, and then it's make or break in that second half. You either drop off, or you can see some swimmers that step up and hang on, and sometimes can even go a little bit quicker in the negative split, which is very much like an 800.
So we've got 2 out in front at halfway. Lucy Fox 2:13.96 and Leah Schlossen 2:14.68. So that was about 68 and a half for the second 100 there. So what are you seeing from those two girls in particular?
Can certainly see that Leah was definitely holding out at the front at the beginning, but she's certainly being chased by, I think, Evie. No, it's not Evie. Apologies.
So it's Lucy Fox in
Lucy,
the green and
that was it.
Leah Schlossen in the yellow of Leeds.
Yeah, so Lucy's definitely now starting to kind of pick up her pace a little bit more. She's certainly attacking the second half. So the third 100, you know, that's where you're going to see some of the swimmers make or break, whether they're going to maintain the speed or you're going to see a bit like Lucy here seems to be picking up. Second half certainly going to be just as quick, if not maybe a little bit quicker than her first 200.
So
But Leah's hanging on. She's not giving up.
level pacing would be around 3:22 at this next turn. So let's just see how that compares to what they go through in. Still it is Lucy Fox with the advantage. 3:22.60, so bang on target for that. Now going into that final 100, do you think these girls can pick it up?
Yeah, it certainly looks like you've got to see the white water from Lucy. She's certainly bringing in the legs. Leah is bringing, her rate is picked up just a little bit, not quite as much leg kick. But I wouldn't rule out Henrietta out in lane 8. She's certainly really taken it strong in this last 100.
Yeah, she certainly made a move and pull away from the ones in the centre with Evie Dilley in 4th place. But Lucy Fox, who really pushed it out right from the beginning and has got an advantage of about a second and a half with 50 to go. And you feel that should be capable of being protected, and see it done now.
Definitely. She's really making a strong beeline for the finish just now. Leah, you can see she's bringing in a bit more kicks, fighting strong, but Henrietta as well. She's reeling in Leah just a little bit, but I do think Leah's going to hold off for the second place.
So Lucy Fox entered on 4:32. She's going to be comfortably inside that. So a really nice start to the afternoon session. 4:28.76 for a 4-second improvement, near enough.
That's a brilliant swim.
Second was Leah Schlossen, 4:31.83. So she's also inside her entry time. And third place, Henrietta Damaso, with that excellent second half and a good PB from her as well, 4:33.03. So definitely some encouraging swimmers from the top 3 anyway. The others might be slightly less pleased with how they've come back, but as you said, it's at this stage it's about process, not times, isn't it?
Yeah, and always with the 400 and above events, I do find that, especially the year that we've had, they're probably going to be the one events that will be the most affected. You can't avoid that sort of level of foundation of work that's required to get the 400 and the 800 and 1500 to get up and going. So, hopefully those swimmers that might not be on their PBs but can take something away from it and not be disheartened from the swims, because from across the board, they all swam incredibly well.
And of course, they've got a good opportunity in July with the Festival of Swimming, haven't they?
Yes.
To come back into the water and get some good level competition at a regional level, wherever they're based in the UK.
Yeah.
And hopefully move on from today into that meet.
Yeah, so today is just a benchmark, see where they're at. They've got their time, that's their first swim. And then, they've got, I think, 4 or 5 weeks now of being able to get back in, get on top of their training, and try and make those progressions coming into July.
So if you're treating that meet in July as your benchmark meet for the season, obviously a pretty truncated mess of a season, I suppose you would call it. But what would you be doing now between now and then in terms of preparing for that?
I'll be looking at trying to refine some of the skill set. Some of these swimmers will have done lots of home workouts, so I think fitness-wise they are pretty fit and robust. It's just getting that race exposure and experience. So whether, doing a couple of stand-up swims, practicing different race strategies, but definitely honing in on the competitive elements like your starts, your turns, breathing in and out of the walls. Like those little marginal improvements are going to make a big difference over a long period of time. So not to worry too much about the volume and intensity, just the small little details are, I think, going to be really, really important.
So technique.
Yes.
For the next few weeks.
Yes.
Right, you heard it here from Hannah. She knows what she's talking about. Second heat coming up then. You can see the swimmers there. Ashley Bailey of City of Sheffield. She's done well this weekend. A couple of wins for her. Sophie Main of Mount Kelly in 2. Olivia Mason of Warrender in 3. Olivia Kingsland of Nova Centurion in 4. Then a trio of Newcastle swimmers. Lucy Headley and Fachikos in 4. Olivia Kingsland in 3. Laura Hodgson in 5, Ella Took in 6. Perth's Catherine Bailey goes in 7. Lara Thompson of City of Leeds in 8. And Harriet Salisbury from the City of Peterborough is in lane 9. So looking at the swim, we've got Ashley Bailey on the outside lane, as I mentioned. A couple of wins from her, the 800 freestyle and the 200 fly. So that's a pretty strong pairing. So maybe sets her well for the 400 free, notwithstanding that she's out in lane 0. The winner of the 200, Lucy Headley, is the fastest entry time here, 4:23. So we'll see what she can do, the winner of the 200 and the winner of the 800, both in meeting in the middle here. Good start from Lucy in lane 4, and also in the yellow cap of Leeds, Lara Thompson in lane 8, silver medalist in the 200. I'll say silver medalist, no medals being dished out here, but second place, let's be precise about it. The Euro Juniors time, 4:20.66, so Lucy would have to take about 3 seconds off her entry time to hit that mark. She's certainly pushing it out, so I suspect she's going for it.
Yeah, by the looks of things, the 3 girls seem to have taken out very strong. You've got Ashley over in lane 0, definitely keeping up with the girls, and they were out pretty quick on that first 50 compared to the first heat. So 62, that's about a second quicker than the previous heat. So you know, these girls keep strong with the next couple of hundreds. We could hopefully see a time that's going to be not too far away from that qualifying time.
Well, let's hope so. And if there's a competition as well, that can only help. The fact that they're spread across the pools 0, 4 and 8, that makes it slightly more complicated, I guess, looking across, and you know, compared with them, you'd expect the competition to be beside you, perhaps in the centre lane.
Definitely.
How aware are you if there is somebody in an outside lane who's challenging you if you're in the middle?
It can depend on how foggy your goggles get. If you're lucky and you've got a pair of brand new goggles, it's like looking through a pair of HD vision glasses, and you can see everything. But if you've got your favorite goggles that are your reliable goggles, they will get foggy quite quickly. So you have a sort of like a sixth sense. You're aware, but sometimes you might not be able to properly see. So I'm not 100% sure whether Lucy will be aware of Ashley. She might be. But it does make it very tricky sometimes being in the middle, spotting some of the swimmers in the outside lane.
2:09.95 at halfway, so running now about 4 seconds faster than the first heat, and that was, what, 67.5, just over.
It's going to be close. If she is able to keep the second half pretty strong, she could dip under that qualifying time.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of an ask on pretty much 2:10. She'd more or less have to even split the first and the second half, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, she went out pretty strong, so she set herself up for a great swim regardless. I think it will be very close, but we'll wait and see how this third 100 goes.
And Ashley Bailey, having won the 800, she's going to have good stamina, you would think, at the back end of this race. So going up there,
she'll certainly be one to watch on this last 100.
And City of Sheffield have put in a whole stack of great performances this weekend, particularly in the junior ranks. And she is right up there now with Lucy. So it's the northeast of England dominating. Newcastle and Sheffield, 3:17.87. So pace to drop down, well, 1:08 there. So I don't think we'll get to the 4:20 mark, but we're going to be fairly steady, maybe around that 4:23 that she's entered in. And Ashley entered on 4:28. You'd certainly expect her to be comfortably inside that. Behind those two, we've got the Leeds girl Lara Thompson in 8, still in 3rd place, just ahead of lane 5 Laura Hodgson and lane 1 Sophie Main. But down the final length, I think it's clear now who's going to win this. Lucy Headley. Strong finish from Lara Thompson, down at the bottom of your screen. It's getting a little bit tighter as they come in.
It is. You can see some of the swimmers that are just holding on to that pace, and others that are maybe just suffering a little bit from that fatigue. 4:23, really solid time coming in on their entry time.
Yeah, and she was strong at the finish there. I
Yeah.
suspect she did sense that Ashley was putting in a bit of a challenge, so obviously she had the super high vision goggles, I suspect, there, and reacted to that. And a very nice push on in that last 5 to 10 meters, just to, and that will have helped her time as well. So
yeah,
she could thank Ashley for that.
Massively, and a great drop in time as well for Ashley, entered on a 28 down to a 24.
Yeah, that's great stuff, and also a 28 from Lara Thompson down to a 26, so some good progress from those girls. And they are the fastest 3 overall across the lanes. Big shout out there for Lucy Fox coming out of the first heat and picking up 4th spot, so congratulations to her as well. So 400 freestyle for the girls is done pretty quickly. We now have the same thing for the boys. Not quite so many swimmers. We've just got 3 to go in the first heat. And I guess it's more of the same, I suppose, for the boys, in terms of what we've been talking about and how they'll view this race.
Yeah, some of them will be going in with maybe a specific race strategy. Some of them might not be. Some of them might be trying something new. Or some of them just might want to just get in and race. I do find male swimmers do have that sort of really ingrained ability to just race the person next to them. So sometimes they might, swim a lot quicker than they've maybe anticipated. Even with the year that we've had and maybe not that much training background, they can still get a lot from it. And definitely the way that boys swim the 400 free, I mean, obviously I can't speak on behalf of the boys, but they definitely do swim it very differently, and certainly probably attack it more from the start, and then it's who can hang on the most towards the end. But no, it'll be really fascinating to see how these 2 heats go with these boys.
So is that a testosterone thing, do you think? They get overexcited on the blocks and bang it out.
Yeah, well, they just want to touch first. They want to win, and it's great. That sort of competitiveness can really, move races on, and people can drop times without it feeling like a tough race. So, never underestimate the competitive spirit.
No. So even when there's just the 3 involved, as there will be in this first heat, it should be a good, tight affair. Their entry times are within a second of each other. And there's the 3. Alex Russell-Barnett will go for Ellesmere College in lane 3. Barney Howarth Osborne of City of Sheffield in 4. And Sam Williamson from Mount Kelly College in lane 5. So the schools having quite an impact on the junior ranks in this meet. Millfield, Ellesmere College, Mount Kelly, Royal Wolverhampton as well. There's must be quite a great environment, maybe a hothouse environment, I suppose, in terms of bringing on your swimming career alongside your academics.
Yeah, you do see it like national events and events like this. They do bring through like a great group of young swimmers coming through. And certainly, you go through phases where one school might be more sort of prevalent than the other, but I think that sort of in-house competitiveness really does help and spur on the team as a whole.
So as I said, just 3/4 of a second separating the 3 in terms of entry times, and well, nothing to choose between them as they come out of the dive. Maybe slightly the Mount Kelly boy, Sam Williamson in the white there, nearest to the camera. Just has the edge coming down the first length.
It's interesting the different styles of strokes as well. You get some swimmers that are very leg dominant, kicking right from the start, and then you get some swimmers that are maybe higher tempo, but their legs are just fluttering behind, and you tend to see them bringing their legs maybe a little bit more towards the end.
And you've certainly seen that from Sam, hasn't there? Those legs are strong right from the off.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than the other 2.
Be interesting to see whether he can maintain that level of power in his legs right through the whole 400 meters.
Yeah, I was told by Alan Lynn in one of the earlier sessions that the leg muscles are the biggest muscles in the body, so why not use them?
Very true, but can be a risky strategy when it comes to a 400. So you want to try and swim fast but not hard. You want that level of effort put in to not cost you anything, so you've still got them to help you finish and to help you bring it strong on that last 50.
So do you think that maybe then favours Barney there, sitting in second place without working his legs so hard that maybe he'll be able to come through? Or
Possibly. It really comes down to that stroke efficiency. Again, going back to that technique, you want, you know, the right level of leg power and arm power, and for it not to cost that much, because you need to really squeeze that energy right the way through, you know, the 850s, so that when it comes to that last 50, you know that you're going to give it everything you've got, and that should hopefully be, you know, a pretty solid, especially if you're going to be, you know, a close finish. You want to have that extra last push. But yeah, and for these guys as well, you know, they'll have grown during lockdown, so some limbs might be a little bit longer, their strength's going to be a bit different. So, you know, it's a matter of just trying to figure out, figuring out their body and their way of using it in the race.
2:02:39. So the lead has just gone up a little bit, in fact, so Sam looking good here. Certainly my theory that Barney might catch him is looking a bit ragged at the moment, because Sam is pulling away.
He certainly is holding very strong, and his leg kick is still just as strong as he did at the start. So he felt very confident that he had the endurance to hold on.
So the last time they were up here, the gap was 1.8. Now look at it, 3.5 seconds. 2:33.9 and 2:37.4, and a fair gap to Alex Rosser-Barnett in third place, just slipping out of your screen there. So let's hope that Sam can build on this great first 300 into this last 100 and really push it on. He was about a 63 for his second 100 and about a 64 for his third. So would you be wanting him to bring it down maybe to 62-ish, perhaps?
Yeah, 62 would be a great finish. It means he's kept it quite even paced, which means that, you know, his endurance capability is still pretty strong. Considering how hard he took it out at the beginning, he's, you know, hold on really, really well. So for him, that strategy worked perfectly for him.
Yeah, and he seems to have something in the cupboard still as he comes down to the final turn. Entered on 4:14. I think he's going to absolutely smash that. 10 meters clear now. So it's Sam against the clock.
See him fighting for it in those last 25 meters, really bringing it home. Everything he's got left coming into the last 15.
Yeah, gutsy swim this. And you can see the clock coming up towards 4:10. Can he sneak under it? Not quite, but a really good swim. 4:10.41, nearly 4 seconds inside his entry time. Barney Howarth Osborne coming in for second for 18.89, and Alex Rosser-Barnett in third for 24.04.
Great to see the way that Sam finished as well. He had his head down, more than 5 meters out going into the wall, and it's those little competitive elements which, when you come to a very close race, can be the make or break of making a final from fourth to third, or even winning a race. And even though he was quite far in front, you know, he still executed that part of the race. So it's really impressive to see that he's still working on those competitive elements.
Yeah. He was perhaps slightly slower than I was expecting him to be in that final 100, and I guess that was because he really worked that last 300, and therefore, you know, that was probably his strategy, really, to push it out hard. And you talked about hanging on at the end, and maybe that's a little bit what he did, but, well, it worked for him. Big PB, and can come out of the pool, I think, pretty happy with that 4 minutes worth of work.
Certainly, it's a brave strategy to just go out hard and just try and hang on and see what you can do. So hopefully he'll be able to analyze the swim and look at how he paced it, and, you know, be able to improve on that in his training to see next time he goes out hard, it might not feel as hard, and he'll be able to bring that second half up a little bit quicker, and hopefully he'll be able to improve that time a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He's got plenty of time to continue his development. Second heat there on the screen for you. The swimmer's not yet out to the blocks, but they'll be out just in a moment. Daniel Kennedy will go in 0 for the City of Leicester. James Bartley of Mount Kelly in 1. Cameron Travis of Aberdeen Performance in 2. Theodore Thompson of Mount Kelly in 3. Joseph Sadler of Nova Centurion in 4. Thomas Treblecock of Plymouth Leander in 5. Jack Munsey, University of Stirling, in 6. Thomas Stephanes of Mount Kelly in 7. Matthew Woodall, City of Sheffield, in 8. And Noah Jameson-Neal of Plymouth Leander in lane 9. So unlike in the seniors, we're using all 10 lanes for these junior events, and they're all going to be full for this one. So one swimmer you'll know well, Cameron Travis, in your programme.
Yep, he's a fellow training partner.
So we'll see how he gets on here. Entered on 4:08. The fastest time, Joseph Sadler, 4:02. Again, if we're thinking about Euro Juniors, we'd have to sneak under the 3:57, 3:56.95 to be precise. So Joe Sadler would have to take, what's that, 6 seconds of his entry time. Well, it's tough, but not impossible. He did his time, because a lot of these times back from 2019, the last time really they were swimming hard, long course, and he was silver medalist in this pool at the British Summer Championships in the summer of 2019, and that's when he did his time. So nearly 2 years on, 2 years of growth, but not 2 years in the pool.
It's crazy to think that 2019 feels like it was not that long ago, but it was 2 years ago.
I know, tell me about it. So 4:02, as I said, Joe Sadler, the fastest entry time, up to 4:13 for Noah Jameson-Neal down at the bottom of your screen. But as we've seen, we can get contenders from any part of the pool. And it's all pretty even at the first turn. The 3 in the centre lanes, 3, 4 and 5. That was making the early running, led by Thomas Treblecock. 27.41.
I think these swimmers are going to be taking it out pretty hard this first 100.
So quite a lot more leg activity in this one, isn't there, compared with
Certainly.
the first heat? Maybe that's why they're in the second heat.
Very much so. It'll be interesting to see who that will affect. Some of them it might affect quite a fair bit. We might see them maybe drop off in the second half of the race. For some, you know, a bit like Sam in the previous heat, you know, they might find that that's their rhythm and that's their groove, and they're going to carry it through for the full 400.
This one at the moment certainly is developing, as perhaps you might expect, with the centre lanes dominating. Treblecock in 5, Sadler in 4, Thompson in 3, but keep your eye on Daniel Kennedy up at the top of the screen there. He's going pretty well. Not out of it by any means. And then lane 6, Jack Munsey from the University of Stirling. But it's the top 3, Treblecock, Sadler and Thompson. Would you feel a 2 metre lead at this stage? Is that a secure lead, or
No, I definitely think a 2 metre lead at the 300 points probably a bit more secure. You still got another 200 metres to go after this. It's still a long way. A lot can happen.
And then when you've got no lead at all really at the top here, a 1/10 of a second, well, you're in a battle.
Yeah, very much so.
And it's a good 3-way battle that's developing, with the possibility of making it 4 or 5. And certainly I think Jack Munsey in lane 6 is giving it a go to try and come up with the others. But still it's Treblecock. He has had the narrow lead throughout, and he's just opened that up a little bit down this length. Well, not that much, but still turns first, 1700ths in it. Then 300s between second and third.
Be interesting. I reckon this last 100, you're probably going to see Joseph starting to come through, but Jack's certainly starting to make his move now as well.
Yeah, this is getting very interesting now. Now Jack will have used up quite a lot of energy in this third 100, won't he, to get himself on terms, which he's done, and all credit to him. And maybe that is part of a strong second half strategy. Tied for the lead at the 300, 3:04.81, Treblecock and Munsey. This is getting very interesting indeed.
It is. It's going to be who can finish fast, who can really finish strong, hanging on. as much as they can, but great race pacing from Jack. He's really used the momentum from that fast third 100 into this fourth one. I think it's probably taken some of the swimmers by surprise. I don't think they anticipated him to come up through there.
Yeah, but his job's not done yet, because Treble Cock is after him. So Jack Munsey came out of the Perth program, coached by Ann Dixon, has moved to Stirling during lockdown, and he was able to get some decent pool time in that Stirling program. So that's looking like it's holding him in good stead here. But, well, can he hold off Treble Cock? Because he is coming right back at him now. So this is going to be about guts and stamina in this last 15 metres. And Treble Cock perhaps has got the momentum here. Munsey trying desperately to hold on to the lead as they come into the touch. Oh, it is Treble Cock by 500ths of a second. What a great race that was. 4:05.75 and 4:05.80. Well, hats off to both of them to make a real spectacle of that one. Theodore Thompson with a good second half as well to take third place, 4:07.75. But, well, Jack Munsey really put everything into it, particularly up until the 3:50 mark. But Treble Cock just had that little bit in reserve, and he was able to bring that to bear when it really mattered. Enjoy that one. I certainly did.
That was really good. That battle towards the end, that's what I love about the racing, especially when you get really close races like that, because it just takes people to another level. You know, those boys certainly, if they didn't have each other, if they were in different heats, would they have gone that time? You know, some of these great close races can really bring out the best in the swimmers.
Yes, Treble Cock just edging inside his entry time. Jack Munsey posting a good PB, about a second and a half, and that earns them first and second overall. Thompson third, Woodall fourth. Your man, Cameron Travis, getting an honourable fifth place there.
Decent swims all round.
So from 400 freestyle, you can see the wedges are coming out, which means that we've got backstroke. 2 heats for the girls.
I always envied backstrokers. I always think the start just looks so elegant, like the power they can get off, the sort of lift over the water. Without the wedges, I used to just backsplat. I could never get myself up and over. So the wedges have certainly made a big difference for me. But yeah, just being able, you know, doing it on your back, you know, swimming backwards. There's some, you know, like Cassie Wilde and Kathleen Dawson, you know, they've really taken on backstroke to another level. So, you know, hopefully those swims will certainly inspire some of these younger girls coming through.
And they're always very high on their start position, aren't they? And it can really, that power that they can generate off their legs and for that start, it's almost a sort of upside down dolphin-like, isn't it? Because they fly across the air and then back into the water, and it's lovely to see when it's done well.
Yeah.
And you know, we've been fortunate this weekend to see 3 great female backstrokers with Kathleen, who's just having a sensational season. Cassie Wilde, of course, with that amazing swim in Budapest, and Georgia Davis, a legend from Wales.
And we've got young Katie Shanahan coming through as well. So we've certainly, you know, seeing a really big boost in backstrokers in Britain, which is really nice to see.
Yes, it is. So Katie, I think, has already achieved times on backstroke and medley for Rome. She, of course, had the opportunity to go to Budapest, made the final in the 200 backstroke, which was highly impressive. But let's focus on these girls. We've got 6 in the first heat. Lucy Hitchin, City of Leicester. Elizabeth Erdley of Guildford City. Her teammate Zoe Ryan beside her in lane 4. Ella Turner of Plymouth Leander in 5. Lucy Block of Wickham in 6. And Scarlett Ferris of Dundee City Aquatics in lane 7. 106s and 107s, the entry time here. I think it would be tough to get Euro Junior time here. There's already been qualifiers in this event, so whether they'll take any more backstrokers, so I don't know. But of course, if you make the time, then you have to be considered. Zoe Ryan, one of the 2 Guildford swimmers, leading them off from Ella Turner. Half a metre up at halfway. 31.73. obviously backstroke a big important component of your medley, Hannah. So what will you be trying to get at when you did the backstroke leg of medley?
I think the best time, or the best split that I would do between a 109 and a 110. Since having my shoulder operated on, it's been, you know, maybe around 13, 14. So still got a wee bit to go to get that back to where I need it to be. But yeah.
Here they come in, 106.32. So pretty handy there. Inside her entry time for Ella Turner. Enter 106.42. So knocks a tenth off that. Zoe Ryan second, Lucy Block in third. I was more thinking about the technique. What are you trying to achieve in the backstroke leg of the medley?
Yeah. Well, I find backstroke can be quite leg dominant. You need to have, you know, a really nice flutter of your leg kick at the surface and not let your body, the lower half of your body anyway, sink. So trying to get like a banana shape is really important. But in the medley, you don't want to overuse your legs. So I find having a higher tempo, keeping my feet just fluttering at the surface, for me works, because going into breaststroke, that's where I need my leg strength. 100 backstroke for these girls, they definitely need that leg power, and especially that second 50 is where they're going to need that strength and endurance within the legs, but making sure that they're keeping that sort of boat shape or body alignment, so that they're still getting that effective kick. Because I find backstroke probably one of the toughest strokes out there. When you feel like it's getting heavy, you know, it's almost like fly. It all feels like, you know, everything falls apart. So keeping a good backstroke tempo, good strong kick, and the timing between the hand entry and the kick, I think, is really important, especially when it comes to sprint backstroke.
So the second heat, we're looking at time 63s up to 66s. There's the field. Holly Widows of Mount Kelly in 0, Gemma Peters of Millfield in 1, Libby Freeman of Morpeth in 2, Isabel Eiley of Hackney in 3, Emily Eiley of Hackney in 4, I'm guessing they're sisters, Iona Colbert of Nova Centurion in 5, Amelia Robertson of Newcastle in 6, Izzy May Reeves of City of Sheffield in 7, Annabelle Wilkinson, City of Sheffield in 8, and Evie Dilley of the Borough of Stockton in lane 9. If I'm not mistaken, we've seen Evie Dilley in the 400 freestyle. She goes in lane 9 here, so she said we'll have had, what, maybe 15 minutes to come out and do it again. You're well used to doing that sort of thing, Hannah, in the past. So how will she be feeling at the moment going into this after a 400?
She'll probably feel maybe a little bit tired, but the advantage of the event being a 400, you know, use it as a warm-up. She might find that, you know, this 100 backstroke might be pretty strong. We'll wait and see. Definitely, mindset comes down to it when you do have back-to-back races. You got to come in with a fresh head of being like, right, doesn't matter how many races I've done beforehand, you got to zone in and focus in on the race that's right in front of you. So certainly she'll learn a lot about herself. Having done the 400, she might find that her body might be more awake, might be more ready. If she finds that she struggles with it, then maybe she needs to focus a little bit on maybe some good recovery strategies, whether it's doing a little bit more swim down or doing a bit more leg kick to flush out the lactic acid from the legs. But you can learn a lot from doing multiple events back to back.
And then 2 Eiley girls, I'm assuming that they are sisters, so be quite interesting there, I would think. The younger one, Isabel, has a slightly slower entry time than the older one, Emily, and then Iona Colbert, the sister of Freya, in lane 5. So a bit of a family stories going on here. So we're off and away. 103.18. As I said, the Euro Junior time 101.28. So the swimmers need to knock a couple of seconds off their time. Annabelle Wilkinson going well. But, well, not too much to choose between them as they come in here. When you've got 8 swimmers almost together, led by Emily Eiley, 31.09. About 6/10 faster than the first heat only. But this is anyone's race, really, here, isn't it?
Very much so. They're all pretty much in a straight line.
Annabelle Wilkinson is a contender in lane 8. Beside her Sheffield teammate Izzy May Reeves in the centre lanes. Possibly Iona Colbert, who look at lane 1 as well. And ooh, it was close, but Iona Colbert just nicked it from Gemma Peters in lane 1 and Emily Eiley in 3rd place. 1:04.51, the winning time.
Looks like Evie was just on her entry time as well, so maybe doing a 400 before 100 backstroke's not too bad.
Yep, 1:06.15 to 1:06.81, so within half a second. Yes, so well done. Good fitness levels shown there. And the overall summary shown for you there. So very much dominated by the swimmers in that second heat. And we double the distance for the boys. So they'll be doing 200 backstroke. Again, the 2 heats here. Of course, very much limited because of the COVID restrictions as to how many swimmers we could take into, particularly the juniors here. I think we've had many more entries, and unfortunately had a lot of entries of swimmers who ended up disappointed. So we are sorry about that, but of course we do have to comply with the Scottish regulations to limit the numbers in the pool at any one time. How did you find that working across the different venues as you've been to competition in this strange world that we live in now, in terms of being very much constrained about the numbers of people you can have in a lane at any one time, and when you have to appear and when you have to get out again? And it's just things you get on with, or has it got in the way of swimmers' preparation?
It's kind of something that we've had to get on with because, it's applied across the board, so it's not like something you can take personally. You just, you want to make sure that you don't mess it up for the other swimmers. If you follow the rules, the more we can comply, and patience as well, and more things will start opening up, and, hopefully we're seeing that in effect just now. It's obviously not quite there at the level where we want it to be at, where we can get more swimmers in competing, but we are showing positive signs because we're all adhering to those rules. So yeah, so it's different. Certainly when you get more than 2 in a lane, you have to make sure you remain socially distanced, and trying to figure out when you touch the wall, coming away from the wall to let another person finish. It can be awkward, but you manage and adapt to it, and you make it work.
So all these social gatherings at the end of a lane, that's a thing of the past.
Oh, I know, it's hard. You can't have your normal chats.
Yep. Maybe we'll get back to it one day.
Yeah, one day. But in the meantime, we need to stick with the rules.
Yep. 5 swimmers go in this first heat of boys 200 backstroke. Maxwell George of Hatfield, James Bartley of Mount Kelly, Moritz Baumgartner of Mount Kelly, Adam Graham of Millfield, and Donatus Dragasius of Camden, Swiss. Entry times 2:12s and 2:13. So again, could be a great start there from the black cap, Maxwell George, showing great start skills there, but now they're starting to come back, in particularly those 2 white caps of Adam and Donatus. I think it's going to be those 2 pretty much together. Well, in fact, not together. It's Adam Graham. Get that much better feel for what's actually happening from that static camera at the turn end. Sometimes the angles can mislead me anyway. Just watching down here, but it does look like it is lane 5, Adam Graham, who is taking this one out. Another one who did his time here at the British Summer Championships in 2019, a silver medalist. And goes through halfway in 1:01.54.
Very strong first 100.
quite a demanding event, I guess, 200 backstroke, and the things you were talking about earlier about the technique and the ideal body position and the synchronization of the arms and the legs. Probably, you know, when you're tiring at about this stage, that's presumably when it gets hard to do all those things and keep it all together.
Massively, and then you're just hoping and wishing for the 5-meter flags to appear. I have to admit, I think out of all the 200s, I think the 200 backstroke is possibly one of the hardest ones to do. I might be proven wrong. I'd rather do a 200 fly than a 200 back. But yeah, there's something quite endurance and difficult based when it comes to the 200 backstroke.
So, interesting to get feedback on that. Maybe we should have a poll: 200 fly or 200 back, which is harder? 2:07.25. So that was pretty impressive. 5 seconds inside his entry time for Adam. He has to be pleased with that. That's great progress. Moritz Baumgartner 2:10.35, so good improvement for him as well. Maxwell George 2:12.11, so some impressive swims there.
Really good. Hopefully, you know, instilling and motivating some of the swimmers that even with the year that we've had, it is still possible to make some of those progressions.
Yes, I guess Millfield perhaps will, you know, they've got fantastic facilities down at Millfield, and yeah, I don't know what their routines have been, whether the boarders have been at school or whether they've been back at home, but clearly they're producing some great results.
They've got a good legacy of some top-level swimmers coming from that program, so certainly the work ethic and, you know, the coaching philosophy there is certainly something to be proven through these athletes swimming really well.
Yes, indeed. I might have got this completely wrong. Is Ewan Dale that? Yes, I thought he was. And of course, we've been a colleague of yours on teams in the past, back in the day.
Commonwealth Games 2006.
And he performed with distinction there, didn't he?
He did, came away with medals.
Yeah. So he's obviously taking that knowledge and passing it on very effectively. Second heat there. The lineup for you: Isaac Dodds, 0 from Ellesmere College. Jack Allen, Mount Kelly in 1. Sonny Chamberlain Hyde of Seagulls in lane 2. Harry Nicholson of Newcastle in 3. Ellis Morgan of Wickham District in 4. Samuel Greenbank of Cockermouth in 5. Matthew Cairns of Newcastle in 6. Pietro Ubatali from Natari in 7. Tom Barton of Mount Kelly in 8, and his teammate Matthew Ward goes in lane 9. So a familiar backstroke name in lane 5. Younger brother Sam from Luke, of course, who will be swimming 200 backstroke in Tokyo. And the Cockermouth was where Luke also learned his trade. And Sam representing them here from the Lake District. Not the fastest qualifier though, that's Ellis Morgan from Wickham, 2:06.39. 2 18-year-olds in the centre lanes, because the boys are a year older for junior categorization than the girls. So shootout between Ellis and Samuel, do you think, or can somebody else come in there?
Yeah, certainly the centre 3 lanes are going to be pretty close, but I think we'll probably know roughly the distribution of the swimmers after the first 50.
Okay, I'll ask again then.
Because for some of these guys, this is their first competition in, you know, over 16, 18 months. It can come from anywhere. You know, previous heat, you had Adam in lane 5. Out of the 5 swimmers, you know, he was not quite the outside. You just don't know where it's going to come from, but definitely the first 50 can set it up. But well, I definitely think Sam, Luke's brother, is doing pretty well in the first 50.
Certainly is. He's clear there, 28.13. Sonny Chamberlain Hyde touching second, 29.08, so already about a second clear. And he'll be looking to build that advantage as this race progresses. Going nicely down at the bottom of your screen there, Matthew Ward, one of the two Mount Kelly swimmers on the right-hand side of your screen. As they come to halfway, Sam still has the lead. Not really built on that lead in the second 50, but it's still just about a second. Matthew Ward now in second place, 1:00.64, but nice to get under the minute for the 100 split. That's very impressive for a junior swimmer.
Looks very relaxed in his stroke. Really long and smooth, but very effective off the turns. His underwater work seems to be something that he's really stepped up and improved on.
So through 150, 1:32.25. So he's going, what, 32 and a half, something like that. So he should be inside his 2:07.48 entry time if he can hold this down this last length. But they are starting to come back at him. Is Sam tying up a little bit down this last length, and maybe an opportunity being sensed by Matthew Cairns in lane 7. But still, Sam Greenbank has the advantage. That advantage, though, is less than half a metre, but he does hold on to take it. 2:04.85. And, well, he didn't really slow down at all. It was just that they were coming back at him hard, and Sam kept his pace pretty well there. But what a last 50 metres there from the second place swimmer.
It really came down to the wire there, trying to really extend that reach. Even when Sam went back to reach, he just weren't sure who was going to touch.
Yep, so Pietro Ubertali. I think I made this comment before, but I just love Ubertali from Natari. It just has that ring about it. Of course, coached by another of your teammates, Michael Jameson. Yep, the Scots alumni making their presence felt across Britain now. So Sam Greenbank the winner, Pietro Ubertali second, Matthew Ward in third place. Some great swims there and nice PBs from both Sam and Pietro. 200 breaststroke now. Just the one heat here. Eight swimmers in it. 2:32.9 is what will be required. Olivia Heron is not a million miles away from that. Just to see if Olivia already has a time. Looking at the breaststrokes, I don't think she does. We get a qualifier in the 100 from Sienna Robinson earlier in the week. She goes in lane 5 in this one, so see if she can double up, or whether Olivia or one of the others can do the job. The line up there for you. Holly Robinson of Mount Kelly in 1, Evie Float of Ellesmere College in 2, Molly Monk of City of Norwich in 3, Olivia Heron of Ellesmere College in 4, 5 is Sienna Robinson of City of Sheffield, and also from City of Sheffield, Charlotte Bianchi in lane 6, Emily Farr of Ellesmere College in 7, and Colleen Devlin, Stockport Metro in lane 8. So 200 breaststroke, you've done this lots and lots of times. Any advice for these girls?
To be fair, when I was their age, breaststroke was like my worst stroke ever. I could swim it faster backwards than I could forwards.
I can't believe that.
Oh yes, definitely. It was awful. I don't know quite what happened, but I enjoy swimming the 200 breaststroke because I don't really know how to swim it properly. I'm not a natural breaststroker, but it can be all about the feel and the timing. Technique on breaststroke is hugely important and key.
Of course, we're fortunate at the moment with two great 200 breaststrokers to take to Tokyo, so we'll be very interested in how they get on.
Having watched some of the top-level swimmers over the years, you do notice some of the patterns and the way that they swim it. A lot of the really solid breaststrokers will be pretty long and efficient on that first 50, making the most of the momentum off the turn. Each kick and each arm pull is going to keep that glide, and they hold it for as long as they can. And then as each 50 progresses, they pick up their stroke rate to hold that momentum a little bit more. A couple of swimmers like Jessica Val, like the last 50, they'll be swimming at quite a high rate. But I always find breaststroke really fascinating because, again, you've got so many different types of styles and techniques across the board. Some swimmers preferring the really long strokes, like our Molly Renshaw's got a really nice long stroke. And a swimmer like me, who I've got quite a high tempo. So, you know, it's whatever best fits and gets that efficiency. But here we're seeing, I think, Sienna, you know, she was pretty solid in the 100. She's now making the most of that in this 200.
Yes, so it'll be interesting because she did that consideration time for Rome in the 100. So she'd love to double up here, and she's certainly pushing out really hard.
Really?
I don't know her. I don't think I've ever seen her swim before, so I can't tell you whether she could hold this through the second half or not. But I mean, she's
got the potential.
pacing it pretty sensibly there.
Yeah, just over 2 seconds on her 100 max, you know, her 100 time. So, you know, certainly within her, she can really just hold on and try not shorten that stroke too much, keeping the kick and the pull, again, like backstroke, the timing of when you finish the kick to when you start that pull, make one just a little bit too early or too late can really throw that momentum. So even as you're tiring, you can feel the lactic acid building, really trying to stay strong in your stroke and your technique is going to be quite effective.
So let's check on the time here, 1:51.55, so she's maintaining around 39 pace, so she's looking really good here. I think she could do this, you know. 2:32.91 is the time that she'll be looking for. She's got the 100. Can she double up and add the 200 to it? You would not bet against it at the moment. It's looking like a Sheffield 1-2 as well, with Charlotte Bianchi in second place, ahead of Evie Float of Ellesmere College in lane 2. But, well, let's focus on Sienna Robinson as she comes towards the final 5 meters. Keep your eye on the clock on the bottom right. She needs to get under 2:32.91, and she does. 2:31.73. So another superb swim from Sienna Robinson. She entered on 2:38, takes it to 2:31. What's going on?
That's one way to swim a 200 breaststroke. That's brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic there. So Sienna, I think, can be very happy with that piece of work. And a Sheffield 1-2 to celebrate as well. 2:37.01 for Charlotte Bianchi, over 2 seconds inside her entry time. And Evie Float in third, 2:39.81. She improves by half a second. But, well, so far, I think swim of the afternoon to date from Sienna. You're sort of nodding, but you're not saying you agree with me.
No, I do. Sorry. I was just too busy writing down the splits there, trying to work out what her second 100 was. Yeah, that's a really impressive swim. So out in a 12, back in, you know, probably about a 1:18 as well, which is very, very impressive. You know, a 5 to 6 second drop off in a 200, you know, is getting there. Some of the top guys, you know, they're dropping about maybe 4 seconds. So, you know, if she wants to try and take that 200 a little bit more, working on that second half is going to be really important. So, no, fantastic swim.
Yeah, I was worried for a moment there.
Apologies.
The great Hannah Miley was going to disagree with me, and I thought, oh, God.
No, I was nodding my head and I forgot. Oh, no, you can only hear me, not see me.
100 butterfly is coming up next. And we'll be seeing 2 heats of the boys. Just the 3 in the first heat. There they are. Jack Allen of Mount Kelly is going in lane 3 with his teammate Jacob Arman in 4, and relatively local lad Lewis Hammond from down the road in South Ayrshire will go in lane 5. Just seems to be a little bit of a hiatus. I think we must have been running slightly ahead of time after that. That's because Sienna swam so fast, clearly. So they just paused, tape breath. So we've seen these 400 freestyles. We saw the backstrokes there, that brilliant 200 breast. What would you say so far in terms of what you've seen, the general stance of what you've seen, how swimmers are coping in their first meet back?
It's been really impressive, actually. Everybody seems to be going into, you know, each race with a clear goal in mind of what they want to get out of from it. And, you know, it's been really impressive to see a lot of these juniors really stepping up. You know, a lot of these qualifying times for the European juniors are pretty challenging. But even still, you know, if they're not aiming for European juniors, just, you know, trying to better themselves, trying to make the most of, you know, what they've had done during lockdown, you know, the amount of land training that they've probably been doing. You know, that's going to change, I think, the sort of physiology and the dynamics of an actual swimmer. So really exciting to see where a lot of these juniors will go through, you know, the next couple of years, and hopefully moving on into the senior ranks. We certainly learned a lot, I think, from this last year with regards to training, the importance of some of the land work, and also the quality of work that I think you do in training. So some of these guys stepping up and doing these races, it can be used as training. You know, if you were to stand up and do a timed 200 breaststroke or a timed 400 free, what time would you be happy with? So for these guys to step up, and as I say, some of them have only had, you know, no more than 2 weeks of training. So to stand up and, you know, get close to their times is brilliant. Or even if they're far away from it, you've still got that element of training behind these races.
So another little Hannah Miley history lesson. European juniors?
Yeah, I made it in my last year, 2005. It was in my 16th year. And that was when I think you can now go up to 17, but in my time you could only go up to 16. I tried to go in 2004, but I wasn't good enough to get the qualifying time, so I made it just in my final year being eligible for European Juniors.
And where was that?
That was in Budapest.
Oh, wow.
Outdoor pool as well. So first experience of racing outdoors and swimming backstroke outdoors. Another reason why backstroke's incredibly challenging. Dealing with the sun, the clouds. Would highly recommend not following clouds when you're swimming backstroke, because you end up just pinging off each of the sides of the lane rope. But that was a big experience in itself, to go from like swimming at nationals to then swimming against some of these top juniors in Europe. But it was a great exposure and a great experience. And the competitor who I was up against was Katinka Hosu.
I think I've heard of her.
Aye.
Wow. Yeah, so watch out when we get to Rome. We'll be looking at the stars of the next 10 years, probably. Best of Europe to be. So we are now ready to go. As I said, 2 Mount Kelly swimmers, Jack Allen and Jacob Arman with the white caps, and the blue cap of Lewis Hammond from South Ayrshire. Entry times all in the 58s. Of course, Jack and Jacob will train together, will know each other's strengths and weaknesses very, very well. They won't know so much about Lewis, who's challenging Jacob in second spot at the moment. Jacob by about a metre and a half has the advantage, 25.77. Good off the wall there, I thought.
Really makes a difference when it comes to the hundreds, you know, those competitive elements into the wall and off the wall, especially the underwater phase. It can make or break some of these sprint events.
So Lewis sticking to the task here, maybe making a little bit of ground back, but he's not going to catch Jacob. It's going to be his race reasonably comfortably, and brings it in 56.89, so nice improvement as well of about 1.3. 58.88 for Lewis, so he's pretty much bang on his time, and then just slipping over the minute, Jack Allen in 101.35. Jacob, I believe, is a South African, so watch out for him in future Commonwealth Games, perhaps. Lewis there, 58.88. I would think that Byron Steriker, the coach from South Ayrshire, will be pretty comfortable with his performance there. Second heat to come. We saw some cracking swims so far from Evan Jones, including a brilliant 200 IM yesterday when he made the European Junior time. He'll be going in lane 2 here. We've got Michael Klimachevsky. He's been about the medals so far, winner in the 200 fly. I must stop saying getting in among the medals. There are no medals.
It's force of habit, you know, coming in the top three, we always think gold, silver and bronze.
Absolutely, that's what you do. That's what I do anyway. So that's the lineup. Stefan Kravis of East Lothian goes in 1, Evan Jones of Millfield in 2, Lewis Maxwell of Derwentward in 3, Michael Klimachevsky of Hatfield in 4, Ned Sharp of Skipton in 5, 2 from Millfield, Sean Sy and Stanislas Chausson. They go in 6 and 7, and Colvin Fry goes in lane 8 for Mount Kelly. So 8 swimmers in this one. Times 55.4 the fastest, Michael Klimachevsky up to 58.0. Chausson in lane 7, also a winner, 100 freestyle. Jones, as I said, 2 wins to his name so far, 200 free and that 200 IM I spoke about earlier. Meeting here in the 100, so will Michael Klimachevsky be able to do the doubles? He's certainly got the fastest entry time by about half a second. Next lane to him, Ned Sharp, leaning nonchalantly over the blocks there. Looking very cool and casual as he comes up, but now gets the focus really engaged. Mixture of 17 and 18-year-olds, with the exception of Stefan Kravis up at the top of your screen, just 15. That's the purple cap of Michael Klimachevsky, I think just edging into the lead, but others pretty close to him. Very close to him, in fact, as we come to the turn. It is Michael Klimachevsky with the touch, 25.72, 2/10 up on Sean Sy and Ned Sharp up there as well. Pretty similar split, in fact, to the first heat. Just shows the quality of that first heat. But we'll see in the second half how this works out, because we have got a battle on our hands now. As Klimachevsky trying to hold off the swimmers all around him, and he's going to do that, but, well, he could not relax for a moment there because he was pushed all the way, but takes the win in 55.44, just inside his entry time. Close for second there, Lewis Maxwell by 500ths over Ned Sharp, 55.84 and 55.89 respectively. All the swimmers coming in 55s and 56s, so I think they can all be pretty pleased with their afternoon's work there, all very respectable times.
They're all showing really good consistency across the board. That level of competitiveness, you know, really showing through. And you can just see they're fighting right towards the end. You know, no one's giving up at the end of the race. They're really giving it 100% effort. If anything, probably the hardest part of the race is climbing out of the pool.
Yeah.
I really wish they had the steps that you could hold on to. I don't know why. It's just so difficult to climb over that lane rope, especially once you've just given your all, you've got nothing left after that 100, and then you're expected to launch yourself over the lane ropes.
You could always institute the crane that they have to use for the lower classification para swimmers, just to help you, to help the OAPs of the swimming world on their way.
So certainly a skill I've yet to master, climbing out. The amount of bruises I've got on my legs as I just try and launch myself.
It can't be
up
comfortable at all going
No.
over those outside lane ropes that are there to obviously provide some anti-turbulence if you're in that outside lane. So you need to have them there,
Yep.
but
It's important to have them, but they're a slight inconvenience when you can't actually get over them. And then you have the risk of you don't want to rip your suit. You know, the suits aren't cheap, so
absolutely
do everything you can to try and protect that.
So from the boys 100 fly, we move to the girls 100 freestyle. We're fairly rattling through this program this afternoon. Just got this 100 free to go, followed by 200 breast for the boys, and finish off with 50 free. So rattling away through the program. First heat of girls, again just 3. Guildford's Darcy Revitt will go in lane 3. Annabelle Wilkinson, City Sheffield in 4, Izzy Winter of Newcastle in 5.
We got another swimmer doubling up. I think Annabelle was in the 100 backstroke as well.
Oh, it's an easy peasy double up, isn't it? 200s.
As a 400 swimmer, I would say yes, but I do have a lot of respect for sprinters because the intensity and the level of power output is quite a lot, so it can be more draining.
Okay, I'll wash my mouth out. All these 3 girls just under the minute on entry times, all in the 59s. Certainly looking directly at us. Annabelle Wilkinson has her race face on. So where do you stand on this stand up or crouch down before the take your marks? You see some of them standing up there and one of them standing up, 2 of them crouched into their start position.
I actually didn't really know that was a thing. I just, as soon as the whistle blows, I get up, get in position and get ready to go. I guess, I don't know, it's each to their own. You know, there's a lot of psychology and kind of mind games, I guess, that goes through whatever they feel comfortable, whatever they feel is going to help set them get into the zone. So if they want to maybe make themselves different from the other swimmers, standing up when everyone else is crouching down gives them a sense of maybe empowerment. Yeah, I quite find the sports psychology behind it quite interesting.
So it's Darcy Revitt going nicely here. We'll continue that conversation in a moment, but Darcy here is going to bring this one in comfortably. See the clock there coming up, 57.58. She's going to be under the minute, 59.43, so improves by nearly half a second. The other 2 just falling over the minute, 1:00.98 for Izzy Winter and Annabelle Wilkinson of 1:01.22. Yeah, so the one thing with the thought, you know, sometimes when the starter holds you for a long time and then you're in that crouch, and is there a chance that you could start to wobble a bit or just perhaps lose your balance a little bit and just then maybe start to...
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, you can get, because especially when some swimmers go down, they kind of maybe brace or hold tension. So if the starter does hold you, you'll find that maybe your muscles will start quivering and that tension kind of goes a little bit beyond that sort of holding phase. Yeah, I actually hadn't really thought of it in that sort of sense. So for some athletes, maybe they've found being in that crouch position for too long just doesn't work for them. So they stand and then literally they're ready to go into that crouch position when needed. It's just whatever each athlete feels comfortable and what their own personal experiences are.
So 59.43 from that first heat. Most of the swimmers with faster entry times than that in the second heat. We'll keep an eye on Eva Okaro. She got the European Junior time in the 50. I think that was on Friday afternoon. So she goes here in the 100. We'll see what she can do, and she'll have plenty of talented athletes around her. Evie Float from Ellesmere College will go in 1. Laura Dickinson of Lincoln Falcons in 2. Local girl Drew McKenzie goes in lane 3 for City of Glasgow. Then we've got Eva Okaro from Sevenoaks in 4. Holly Widows of Mount Kelly in 5. Olivia Mason of Warrender in 6. Lily Chambers of Sevenoaks in 7. And Millie Milne of Warrender in lane 8. So lots of red caps on the bottom of your screen from Sevenoaks and Warrender. Eva though, so she's not going to wear red, she's going to wear green. Why not? She certainly looked very impressive in the 50s, so it'll be interesting to see whether she can get anywhere near the 56.83. .57.99 her entry time. Beside her, Holly Widows starting well, but Eva moving well, moving strongly forward now.
Eva's actually working out when she was actually breathing. I think she actually didn't breathe until, you know, maybe 35, 40 meters down the length.
So I know you would typically you'd breathe once or not at all on the 50, but in the 100, what would be ideal breathing zone? Now, obviously she's breathing much more now.
Yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask on that. But certainly, you know, you run the risk of oxygen debt if you hold your breath a little bit too much, but you've got that sort of stroke efficiency and hydrodynamics by keeping your head down.
So dominant performance there, 56.95. Oh, so close, just outside 1200. So great effort. Over a second inside her entry time. And the fact that she's got her 50, there must be a good chance that she would double up into the 100 as well. I know that the selectors have that option, don't they, to put you into swims if there's the spaces. I think there potentially will be. Holly Widows, 57.89. Drew Mackenzie, 58.71. Second and third. But really, Eva dominated that one, didn't she? And showed great skill. We see contrasting styles, don't we, with sprinters? When you look at Anna Hopkin, for instance, versus Freya Anderson, completely different in the way that they swim out, but both get sensational results out of it.
They certainly do. They certainly get to the other end very fast. Some athletes opting for a straight arm style, some maybe a bent arm, some maybe a bit more flat in the stroke, some go for more rotation. And that's the whole point of, you know, having this opportunity to race, is to work out what their style is. And especially these juniors going through a phase of, you know, growth development. Athletes' body shapes will be changing, so, you know, limb length might be a bit longer than what they're used to. So it's really important to try and get as many opportunities as you can to race, to try and figure out what their stroke, what their sort of fingerprint on their stroke and event is going to be like for when they hit the senior ranks.
Yeah, I guess for these teenage athletes, if they've been out of the pool for over a year, suddenly they're taking a completely different body into the pool, aren't they?
Yeah, massively. And that can make a really big difference. For some of them, they might find that they'll drop time really easily just by being, you know, an inch or two taller. Or some may struggle to, you know, fit the stroke that they used to have because their limbs are just that bit longer. So, you know, that's why getting back in the pool, training, racing, and just learning a little bit with how to use the body that they've got currently.
Yeah, it's the only one you've got, so you have to learn to use it. 200 breaststroke is next for the boys. In fact, the girls are now done. We've got two boys' events to finish off the weekend. There's the lineup in the men's event, 200 breaststroke. Pretty quick return to the pool from Donatas Dragasius. He goes in lane 0 for Camden Swiss. Isaac Hall of Ellesmere College in 1. Olivier Vedren of City of Norwich in 2. Callum Melville of Nova Centurion in 3. Sam van der Stroom of Mount Kelly in 4. Lewis Shaler of Watford in 5. Sam Williamson of Mount Kelly in 6. Matthew Garrity goes in 7 for Inverclyde. And Arthur Llewellyn of Borough of Stockton completes the field in lane 8. Sam van der Stroom, the winner of the 100 breaststroke, ahead of Callum Melville and Lewis Shaler. That was the 1, 2, 3, so they're all there in the centre lanes. I think being ready to do battle again. Sam, a Dutchman at Mount Kelly, so not eligible for the British team anyway in Euro Juniors. He may be in the Dutch team, I don't know. We'll see how he does here. He's got quite a bit faster entry time than any of the others. 2.5 seconds ahead of Lewis's. So Sam looking to do the double, others looking to stop him. Sam Williamson, I'm sure I've talked about him before. After a decent start in lane 6. Yep, he won the first heat of the boys 400 freestyle. I'm sure I'd spoken that name before. So another one who's had a pretty tough double to do here, 400 free, 200 breast. 32.03 though, it's Olivier Vedren. going nicely in lane 2. The green cap, Callum Melville, Scott based down at Nova. Then we can see Sam van der Stroom maybe just starting to wind it up now in lane 4. He's moved up into 2nd place, just behind Olivier. Olivier Vedrun, British Summer Champion in 2019. He's a couple of years younger than Sam. Maybe that extra strength, extra experience from Sam just coming through to bear now. As they come into the second half. As I said, he won the 100, but it looks like his stroke is quite well suited to 200.
He's holding a good length, but also you can see the power from the kick, driving him forward on every stroke.
But there is a race on here. There's just 400s with 50 to go. 1:44.39. So we'll see who has got the reserves in place. Don't discount Callum Melville in between them either. We've got a 3-way contest as they approach the halfway mark down the final length, and Vedrun is certainly still very much in the mix. Melville pushing hard in between them in the green cap to try and catch them up. So who's going to get this one? Van der Stroom in lane 4 maybe just has the edge as they come up towards the final 5. I think it is maybe just going to be Van der Stroom who takes it. He gets the touch in 2:21.58. 3/10 ahead of Melville, and Vedrun has to settle for 3rd, having led for quite a bit of that race. Well, that was maybe the experience of the Dutchman there, Van der Stroom, just knowing what he had to do, knowing how he had to respond down that last length and bring it home when it mattered.
Yeah, he certainly held back a little bit, and it wasn't until going into from that 3rd 50 into the 4th one you could really sort of see that change of gear. You also saw it in Callum as well. He really started picking up his rate. Underwater pull out, he came up really close next to Oliver, but Sam just was able to hold on to that momentum right the way through. Callum possibly just tied up ever so slightly maybe in the last 5 meters, but certainly that experience, I think Sam just having those extra 2 years on both Callum and Oliver, I think makes a really big difference when it comes to executing a finish in a close race.
Callum, of course, had to do a fair amount of catch-up in that 3rd 50 there, and maybe that just paid at the end, that he'd used up quite a lot in that and perhaps just didn't quite have it at the end, although what an effort he put in.
Yeah, he wasn't too far away, so, but no, it was certainly a great way to swim it. Certainly gave Sam a challenge and a good race, and you know, both boys were able to really kind of make their mark on that, the final time on the scoreboard.
Yep, so I would imagine they are all done now, unless anybody's going in for a wee splash and dash in this last event of the afternoon. Last event of the weekend, the boys 50 freestyle. So they are all lining up at the turn end of the pool. Matthew Cairns of Newcastle will go in 0. Tom Barton of Mount Kelly in 1. Bradley Evans of Nova Centurion in 2. Lewis Hammond of South Esher in 3. Maxwell George of Hatfield in 4. Harry Nicholson of Newcastle in 5. Adam Strickland of Derwentside in 6. Cameron Travis of Aberdeen Performance in 7. And Adam Graham of Millfield in 8. 24.8 to 25.1 the times in this first heat. 23.2 is the consideration time for juniors. Well, don't expect too much breathing going on during this race. Don't expect too much gap between any of these swimmers.
And expect a lot of white water.
I remember I had the privilege of commentating in the Commonwealth Games, and it was in the window that you could just see there. And honestly, in the 50 sprints, you could not see a thing. You did not have a clue what was going on. And you tried to commentate, and all you could see was water. But let's see how this one works out. At least we're higher up here and we can see. So thanks for that, organisers. So they are pretty much in a line out of the dive and down past the halfway markers, going well over the far side, Cairns and Barden. But, well, who's going to manage the finish here? Those two are certainly up there. So in lane 6 is Adam Strickland. Is it going to be Strickland? Yes, it is. 24:31. Barden takes second and Adam Graham takes third. Really, really tight again. 1500ths and then 300ths and then 500ths and then 100th, separating them all out. So you can see they're just 3/10 between first and sixth as Adam takes it in 24:31. 24:89 entry time. Half a second in a sprint is massive, isn't it?
That's quite a big drop. And I do find with the 50s, you really do have to be a perfectionist in everything that you do. The minimal amount of mistakes possible to execute the perfect swim, because you don't have time to make any mistakes. So, you know, you really need to make sure your start's good, your underwaters, your timing with your finish, if you're going to breathe or not, and making sure that that breath is really quick and fast and effective. So, yeah, it's, you know, half a second off on a 50 is quite a big drop for these guys.
I'm always amazed there aren't more false starts in 50s, because I think, not that I would ever be on those blocks, but if I was, I think I would be so twitchy and ready to go that, yeah, it would be once every 3 races perhaps I'd be off too early.
I'm pretty sure before they brought in the one-start rule, there used to be quite a lot of false starts,
Yeah,
just to psych out your competitors, to, you know, take them out of their sort of like zone.
Yeah, you're old enough to remember those days, I guess.
Shot myself
Sorry,
in the foot there.
shouldn't have said that. That was naughty.
It's all good.
In 0,
Fun day.
Clement Kubica of Millfield in 0, Stefan Kravis in 1 from East Lothian, Sean Sy of Millfield in 2, Stanislas Chausson, Millfield in 3, Calvin Fry of Mount Kelly in 4, Miles Lapsley of Edinburgh University in 5, Rory McKinnon of City of Glasgow in 6, Ned Sharp of Skipton 7, Ellis Morgan of Wickham in 8, and Jacob Arman, Mount Kelly in 9. So a final hurrah here. Who is going to take the last win of the day, of the weekend? Again, it is line across the pool. Very, very tight indeed. Looking good in 7 is Ned Sharp of Skipton, but there's others on the other side of the pool as well, and in particular Clement Kubica in lane 0, just to finish us off with an outside smoker. 23:88, 100th between Sean Sy and Stanislas Chausson. 24:04 and 24:05. Well, couldn't get much tighter than that to finish off.
That was a very close race.
Yeah, excellent stuff indeed. Clement Kubica taking the last race. Frenchman from Millfield, so we saw a Dutchman, now we've seen a Frenchman. The international attraction that these great schools get. So the swimmers will gradually haul themselves out of the water. Let's see what their technique is. Pretty good. There is the summary of that last result. So Kubica 23:88, Sy by 100th from 3rd place. And that's it. Over in a flash, Hannah. Thank you so much for joining me in the commentary booth this afternoon. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been a privilege and a great pleasure. And that's it from us at the British Swimming Glasgow Meet 2021. I do hope that you've enjoyed the 9 sessions of swimming that we've had. Oh, hang on. I'm told that there's something that I need to know about. I don't know what it is. I don't know any of the details about that, but it might be that we've got a bonus race for you. We'll just have a little bit of a wait and see. I thought we were done, I must admit. I was packing my bags and just about out the door, but let's see. There's various discussions going on between coaches and officials, and we'll see what that amounts to. Of course, we had that incident in Budapest involving the girls' 100 backstroke, where it was ended up being re-swum, and Kathleen Dawson, who thought she had a gold medal around her neck, had it taken off her, and glad to say that she got it back again in the reswim, so that was good, although it was very hard on the Dutch swimmer who had finished second and then was out of the medals when they reswam. Was that Toussaint, was it? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Kira Toussaint.
Yeah. So just hold this space at the moment, because we might not be finished. The officials are being kept on poolside, and when you do have, I don't know, did you see something, Hannah, that could
Not
have
that I was
caused,
aware of.
maybe at the start, or of course the problem in Budapest was that one of the speakers at the blocks was malfunctioning, and it meant that there was a swimmer, a Danish swimmer I think it was, who didn't get a good clear starting signal, so that clearly would have been unfair to her at the time, and right and proper that she gets a chance to swim the race she wanted to swim. So we'll see what happens here. So, well, let's just hold on for a bit and see what happens. Have you been involved with protests and all that malarkey at all?
No, I haven't. Being a 400 medley swimmer, I guess you kind of hope that you don't get a protest, because to re-swim a 400 IM is not that fun. I do remember watching a European Juniors where Siobhan Marie O'Connor, I think, swam the 400 IM, and I think she got to about 300 meters and they had to stop the race because they realized they hadn't started the official timing.
Oh my goodness. So
they had to redo that at the end of the session, so that was brutal watching that. But no, watching in Budapest the whole debacle, I guess, with the restart of the 100 backstroke was pretty intense. I think it was lane 8. There was a Swedish swimmer that had to put the protest in because she didn't hear it go. And then Kira did put a quote out saying that she also didn't quite hear it as well, and she just went because I think she reacted to the other swimmers. But you want it to be a fair across the board, but at the same time having to re-swim it isn't fair. So, it's trying to get that balance right, and ultimately, someone's got to make that call and make that decision whether to re-swim it or not.
Yep, I've certainly not experienced anything like that in my commentary experience. We did have one instance in this pool, in fact, where halfway through a race the lights went out, and that was quite entertaining.
Yeah, I think it was at men's 200 free or something like that.
Oh, it looks like there is, well, whatever protest, it's been resolved, and it looks like we are done. I'm almost disappointed now. I thought it was a bit of drama to finish on. But,
an extra swim.
Absolutely. So I will go back into my closing spiel. Again, thank you very much, Hannah, for your company this afternoon. It's been great getting the experience of an international swimmer and their perspective on these junior swimmers. So really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And as I say, I hope you've enjoyed the live stream brought to you from Glasgow over the last 9 days. The next serious swimming competition will take place in Tokyo in under 7 weeks' time. I just cannot wait. So I know that you'll all be watching that. I'll be watching that too. And best of luck to the British team there. Best of luck as well to the British Paralympic team and the European Juniors team that will be going to Rome. But for now, on behalf of everybody at British Swimming, I'm Duncan McKinnell, and from myself and Hannah, we'll wish you a very good afternoon from Glasgow.
Whatever your day holds, you need a breakfast that helps you get up and go. Up.
And go, go, go.
Up.
And go.
A delicious breakfast shake made with oats and milk. High in fibre, high in protein, high in calcium. Start right with Up and Go. The official breakfast partner of British Swimming. Find us in the cereal aisle.
Sim-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Laban, we offer great credit plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free.
Buy now at labar.co.uk.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At HealthSpan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric in the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas off Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for our supplements, because that's the HealthSpan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
The latest in tech suit innovation. Frictionless fiber construction. Surface lift technology. Endo compression cage. Seamless exo shell. Here, Vinzo.